What's up, everyone? Welcome to Three Chicks in a Pod. How are you ladies doing?
Good. How are
I'm
you?
We're
I'm
doing
melting over here, but I'm
Uh-huh.
going to survive. I'm just melting.
so. I'm going to share the show in a couple of places. For some reason on mine, it said that the video had ended. Like, what?
You're like, wait,
Really?
what?
Oh, it says we're having trouble streaming to this may be an issue on Facebook's end. Hold on.
Oh, I see that. Interesting. Well, it's okay. I'll share it. No, it
Mine's
doesn't have
showing
to
on
end.
Facebook now. So,
I don't.
okay, yeah. I'll tag you.
Okay, yeah, just tag me. All right, guys, as we work out a few technical difficulties. But to my left or my right, we got Jen Matthews Lewis, and at the bottom, we got Carrie Johnson. We are Three Chicks in a Pod. We do an all female panel show, and about once a month, sometimes twice a month, we have another show, a spinoff called Chicks and Salsa, where we have our other girlfriend, Candy, who comes on as well. She's a photojournalist and also does sports analysis as well. This week we got a couple real serious topics. So y'all know that's kind of our style. We like to we like to investigate and kind of bring light to topics that are maybe swept under the rug a little bit. And this is one that I actually had no idea about. So we all know about the massive drama that is the Houston Texans, and especially over the last 6 seasons. I remember them kind of getting their legs under them and seeming like a team that really, I don't know that I would say like, oh, I could see them going out and winning a championship. But remember that game, that playoff game against Carrie's team? Like the Texans were up by quite a bit at half, and they had JJ Watt, they had D Hop, they had Deshaun Watson. Like they had some things going on over there, and they really seemed like I don't know about a contender, but they were a good team.
Well,
And
from my perspective, it was a team that obviously things have changed, but that was a team that were like, I'm
Brothers.
thinking, oh, they're going to be a problem for us. They're going to be a roadblock.
right. Definitely. So
How
I'm trying to fix
quickly
this.
they fell.
Fixing Facebook real quick.
How quickly they fell. I don't know. I don't know what's going on with technical issues,
Can you
but
hear me,
yeah,
ladies?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Right.
Yeah, there's some like,
Yes. I'm seeing if I can get it to
and the
go
three
back to
of
being
us
live.
have said from the word. I'm sorry, Megan. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Okay. I was just saying the three of us have said from the word jump we didn't trust the entire situation in Houston with Deshaun. That being said,
Right.
we all know Deshaun did some stuff, but how
Just
many more people did
just a
some
few
stuff?
things, just a little bit, just a little bit.
Yeah. I mean,
Right.
360.
Well, okay, but it just the timing
But
always
something
seemed
new
off
has
about
come
it,
too.
Well, yeah, and it
You
still
said
seems
what?
off to me. You're gonna do that
It does.
right after he asked for a trade.
But is it off now
Right.
that we know we have something else that's come to light? So, Megan, you want to kind of bring up everybody up to speed on what we have recently found out about Javier?
So there's an article about their minority owner, Javier Loya, and I'm going to read part of this to y'all. And hold on one second. And for me, it was just a shock that we hadn't heard anything about this and this article came out. Gosh.
On the
August
15th.
15th, but this incident happened over a year ago, and it's actually several incidents. Right, May 15th and May 16th. And so the Texans minority owner, Enrique Javier Loya, has been charged in May with 1 count of first degree rape, 5 counts of first degree sexual abuse, and 1 count of third degree sexual abuse. The Texans said they already knew about it. The NFL added that they also already knew about it. But what led to the criminal charges, a grand jury document, as well as reporting by Louisville and Houston media, helped shed some light on it. Loya wasn't charged by prosecutors. He was indicted by a grand jury in Jefferson County, Kentucky. The true bill handed up by the grand jury doesn't go into detail much. It does say that the events occurred over 2 days. In 2022, on May 15th, 2022, Loya subjected a woman to forced sexual conduct, leading to one of the charges of first-degree sexual abuse per the court document. The rest of the charges are connected with May 16th on 2022. On that day, the document said that Loya subjected 3 different women to forced sexual contact. One of the women was also subjected to forced sexual intercourse. WDRB in Louisville got even more court records. They reported that the documents show that the charges stem from 2 parties held by Loya in Louisville for his male friends. He hired female models for 2 parties on May 15th and one on May 16th. On May 15th of last year, according to the prosecutors, Loya hosted a poker party at his Louisville home, hired several women from a local modeling agency to work the party. One of the women claims that he touched her and spoke to her in a sexual manner, grabbing her butt, her breasts without consent. And then on the 16th, Loya held another party again and hired female models from the same agency. At that party, multiple women claimed that Loya touched them, kissed them, and pulled their hair, among other allegations. One alleged victim said Loya reached his hand inside her underwear and penetrated her, according to the prosecutors. Loya was also accused of picking up another woman, throwing her over his shoulders, and placing his hand in her underwear. Since the news broke about the recent criminal charges, a lawyer for Loya has issued 2 statements on August 7th. He said that his client is unequivocally and categorically denies all these allegations. One day later, denying that the criminal claims and saying that these were possible racial overturns to the allegations, with at least 1 complaint of an assault by a group of Mexicans. So that's basically what we know about the situation. Mm-hmm. It definitely kind of sheds some light on, I would say, like, the culture there in Houston, the team as a whole, because all this is happening around the same time. Obviously this happened a year ago. Deshaun's already been gone for a year, but for the team to know about it, for the NFL to know about it, and really nothing was brought to light until recently. That, I don't know, that says a lot to me. Carrie,
my question is, I've got it's a 2-part question. How many times did this happen prior to someone stepping up and saying something? Because you're looking at someone that, even though he's a minority stakeholder in the team, he obviously has some wealth. He also obviously has money behind himself and is freely spending. But my biggest question is, we thought maybe that JJ was looking for a way to get on the championship team, and D-Hop was in the same situation, wanting to it was played off as being chasing a ring and getting on one of those championship teams. And then as soon as Deshaun asks for you'd be able to leave, all of a sudden the allegations for him come falling out of the woodwork. Right. Now that Deshaun's been gone, we see the minority investor has problems. So it leads me to believe that there's an extremely toxic work environment, and maybe D-Hop and JJ left because it was not a good environment for them personally to be in. So, I mean, that's kind of my question now is, did they use the ruse of looking for a championship team to get the ring as a way to exit? Mm-hmm.
I mean, and for me, I'm sure that they had to do whatever they had to do for them to get away from the situation. But also, I would hope that they would want to bring light to the situation. That's a little confusing to me. But also, I mean, maybe they couldn't, so I don't know all the details, obviously. So I would just hope that, the caliber of person that we know that JJ is, and what Houston means to him and his family, that, that he would want to shed light on that if that's what was going on at the time. But, I absolutely agree with the statement that, it is a really sick atmosphere, and it was established before Watson is what it's seeming like. because oftentimes in sexual abuse cases like that, it's something that's been going on a long time. And so for it to come to light, it had to have been just so egregious that they couldn't ignore it anymore.
See, that's kind of where I'm thinking that it is. We've got people that are worried. It is such a tricky thing to be able to stand up and put your livelihood on the line for something that you know is not right.
Right.
I've done that. I lost my ability to teach. I didn't lose my ability to teach. I lost my teaching position because I stood up for something not like this, but something that was not correct.
Right.
It is very hard knowing your money is going to be gone. And we're talking, me was thousands of dollars. We're talking millions of dollars for these gentlemen.
Right.
And so you have to, I understand when people say it's, when they don't say anything. I can understand it because it is easier. But it always confused me that JJ was wanting to leave the Houston market area because he has such a deep connection and love for the community.
Right. And we saw the extent of what happened with Deshaun. I also feel like I still feel like the timing was incredibly weird about that. As soon as he wanted to leave, that's when all these things came out. So I think, to me, that says that they were okay with facilitating it. Clearly, because people have been signing NDAs left and right. So to me, that says that they were fine with facilitating it as long as he wanted to play for their team.
My problem is NDAs don't count because any halfway bad attorney can get you out of an NDA.
Right.
Unless apparently you have Tiger Woods attorneys, then they can't. But I'm just
saying. Peyton Manning. That's a whole different topic.
That's a whole other topic. Let's go. We got you.
Excuse me. Well, just to me,
we will not tag Jordan Long in that episode because I don't want to hear that I'm just jealous that Peyton beat us in the Super Bowl because that's not the truth. So, just saying.
Right. Well, and I don't know. I'm glad that it's being exposed. I'm glad that we're in a day and age where those things can come out, and it can come out with, I don't know, it really makes me think about Megan, the guest that we had on from I'm
gonna have her back on. I feel bad, like y'all know what's been going on, so
right.
I really reach out. I feel bad. Have y'all?
No.
Okay.
I'm not good. I fail at that sometimes. But what we also have to look at where our society has stepped to, and even where it was just 5 years ago, as far as embracing what people are willing to bring to light. So it is, I'm not going to fault anyone on not stepping up, but knowing that the NFL viewership and the female, that they're purposely going after the female viewers, the female money out there, the fact that they're trying to promote women within the organizations and within the teams and such, all of this factors in, I believe. We're watching the NFL embrace women in the sport, women on the field, women in the roles. That I think this starts opening doors that were once kept locked.
Right. Mm-hmm. Well, hopefully going forward, we learn more details about this. Obviously, this is something that is still under investigation. He has not been convicted yet. In Deshaun's case, he settled out of court with all but 2 cases. And so that was what he settled with, 23 cases in the 24th and the 25th case. I think there is I could be wrong on this, but I think those 2 are still in court. Like they're still have the possibility.
A couple of them dropped. A couple of them dropped their cases.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because that started happening really quick, fast, and there had been no settlements reached or anything like that.
Wasn't there one that did not, one that stayed in the court system And then
No,
there was
and it's in a
I
different
don't know.
county. It's in a different county than the other ones. And so, I think that just shows the reach of their abilities there. Like what they were willing to, try to sweep under the rug. Like, it doesn't matter if it was in a different county. It doesn't matter where we're doing it. You play for the Texans. It's fine. We're going to facilitate it. It's fine. Oh, you could be a minority owner for the Texans and it's fine. Like, we don't care. It's a whole culture. And I'll go as far to call it this. And I don't really care the repercussions of it. It's rape culture.
Yes, it is.
And we're just seeing it from two men. Who's to say there isn't more in there?
Disagree with something one of y'all said, and I'm sorry. But I don't remember who said it. I'm sorry. I think I know, but I don't want to say the wrong name. But one of y'all said that women's voices in the NFL, they're not going to be silenced anymore. To me, they are. To me, the NFL findings from the Redskins at that time, so I'm using the accurate name for that time.
Yeah, I feel like
it did a fiscal investigation and did not interview any of the actual female victims or male victims. Sorry, NFL is still silencing, and I know I'm trying to go back to the Super Bowl, so I shouldn't say that. But yeah, that's just my humble opinion.
I mean,
let's applaud Deshaun.
Very true. Well, as we see the story develop more, we'll definitely keep you guys abreast of what is going on.
Abreast. Sorry.
Tie it in. Lawyer, keep your hands to yourself.
Right.
Right. But moving on to our next topic, and this has been something that has definitely been in the news for the last 2 weeks. Jen, you want to talk about it a little bit?
And actually, this has come out before, but Carrie and I talked ad nauseum last week about Michael Orr and the Tuohy's situation. Now, there's been a lot of information put out there. The Tuohy's had so much money, and NIL was not available when Michael went to college. Therefore, for him to get NCAA eligibility for a full ride, which he deserved, they did have to do that because in Tennessee, over the age of 18, you can't be adopted.
Right. Oh, okay.
So, but they were his conservators. Here's the thing: he's claiming he didn't know it, but in his 2011 book, he referred to the Tuohy's as his conservators. Keep in mind, the Tuohy's are actually worth $200-300 million.
I think I need to do my genealogy and see if I'm related. Go ahead.
Okay, go ahead. Because if you are, I'm going to need you to adopt me as your official sister, please, and thank you.
Yes. Megan, you too.
Bad for him. But Carrie, one thing that I did find out this week, he got married in November.
Mm-hmm. I saw that come through, and I'm like, oh, we were wondering that there's some strings being pulled.
And then he's like, people forget that I was actually a scholar in college. I actually have The Athletic up right now. An article came out in the last 24 hours going through a timeline. So, and it says, in 2004, he alternated between foster care and periods of homelessness throughout his childhood and early teens. Now, again, Carrie, I made reference to this last week. October 2021, he had an interview. There was an article published that he heavily was interviewed in by People magazine. Okay. And he is discussing his mental health issues and his trauma from his early childhood.
Okay.
Never once did he said something in there about the Tuohy's really saved him. That's 2 years ago.
Right. I know for me when the topic first came out the last couple weeks ago, it was something to me that, like, I knew that he had always said that he was not a fan of the movie, like how it was presented.
Yeah, none of them are.
Yeah, he said that it was not, which, I mean, we know how based on true stories type of movies go. Like, they're going to take some liberties. Obviously, they're not going to be able to fit everything into like a 2-hour block. But he was never happy about the way that story
No.
was presented. And so that always concerned me. That and so all I can say is I hope those people didn't take advantage of that young man in an awful situation. And hopefully that they're able to work this out. Because we've also seen like success stories from this as well, like Jimmy Butler, and he has a great relationship with his adopted family. I don't know if they actually legally adopted him, but we hear him how he speaks about his mother. So I hope that they're able to get past this and still be in each other's lives, if it's salvageable. And I don't know. The details haven't come out yet, but I sure hope those people didn't take it.
Well, I will say they didn't take his money. They were worth $200 million. His $15 million request is peanuts to them. That's like somebody asking us for a quarter. Like literally, and I'm not trying to be mean. I'm not.
Well, and if that's the case, then give him his
from
money. If that's the case, then just give him his money, and y'all find a way to work through it.
He doesn't have it. They don't owe him any money. That's the thing. The only because, and here's the thing: for him to claim he didn't have a conservatorship for financials, how many contracts has this man signed? How many contracts are Britney Spears allowed to sign?
Right. I don't know.
And it was only a partial. They weren't in charge of his actual money. They were like in charge of helping him make decisions on his money.
Right.
And didn't this wasn't the preliminary that the reason why it was brought up is he didn't make it very much money at all off the book or movie deal?
Nobody did. In fact, so
well, isn't that the?
Yeah, but none of them actually did. So what happened there? And I'm sorry to cut you out. So I was listening to, I have this podcast that I listen to where it's called NC Lawyer, Crazy Days and Nights. Anyhow, he was going into it. He's an actual lawyer, so he kind of knows a little bit about this. But he was saying that the author of the book is the one who sold the rights to the movie. He split half of his money with the Tuohys. The Tuohys then went and put money for their two kids and some of the money set aside, some of the money and a trust fund for their two kids and Michael Orr's son. So there's a trust fund for his son. The Tuohys haven't touched it. The Tuohys have already said, "Hey, I'm fine relinquishing the conservatorship." Like Tessa was just a piece of paper that didn't mean anything.
So, well, like I say, I hope they're able to work through that.
I do too,
and salvage some type of relationship.
Yeah, I mean, and they did really help. By the end of when they first took him in, and Orr failed his freshman year, and he wasn't allowed to play sports that whole year, right?
Right.
By the end of his sophomore year, he was allowed to play basketball, track, and field teams, and junior year, finally allowed to play football again. The reason why he started the school year spending nights with at least 5 Briarcrest families, including the Tuohys. Then Leanne decided that he would move in with her family. She realized he needed help, right? Mm-hmm. So she hired a former longtime teacher to tutor or 20 hours a week. And then he got all A's and B's, but it still wasn't enough to boost his GPA to where he needed to be. So the school allowed him to enroll in online classes to replace the poor grades on his high school transcript with better grades. Okay. So, I mean, I just think there's somebody, Carrie said it last week, I think, that we feel like somebody's behind the scenes trying to mess with this whole relationship. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of people who think it's shady when people with just good hearts try to take people in. Now, the Tuohys may be the biggest jerks I've ever known in Memphis, but they tried to better somebody's life. Kind of think they did a pretty okay.
I mean, honestly, when you are dealing with, and I'm sitting here kind of thinking across the board, across all genres of those people that have success stories and they are affluent, you always have people that are not happy and are going to pick apart what it is. Right. So it doesn't matter.
It doesn't. I mean,
it doesn't matter where the money's from. You see it across the board. People are picking apart those that are out there trying to do good as well as make money for themselves. I mean, let's be real. All of us are out there doing our hustle one way or the other. But yeah, there's somebody there's something that is pulling strings to make this start to unravel.
And I remember like a couple of years ago, Megan, he came out and said he wasn't happy with the blind side. He wasn't happy with the trade. And I believe he had just joined the Panthers at the time, but it may have been the season before, but he's still with the Ravens or the Titans. But I've also wondered, I mean, he was a left tackle. He's taken a lot of hits. Could his brain be a little messy?
He's played football his whole life. So, you know, that's also, we know that sometimes there's health problems that arise with that as well.
Exactly. And we also know there was a learning disability. So you start combining all of these.
Right.
And you know, I gave myself a concussion one day as high school because I was walking up the stairs and I tripped up the steps. Who the heck trips up the stairs?
I've done it. I think clumsy girls all over.
Clumsy girls, okay, thank you.
So moving on to our happy topic. This was one that really hit home for me because I am a huge, probably the first athlete I ever fell in love with was FloJo. It was the nails, it was the outfits, it was just how amazing she was. Loved her, loved FloJo. And the first time I ever saw Sha'Carri Richardson run, that was my first thought. Whenever I saw her, I was like, oh man, this is the new FloJo, you know, like she came back, you know, and rest in peace, FloJo. But, you know, unfortunately, she had her time at LSU. And then after that, she was trying to, she was in the process of qualifying for the Tokyo Olympics, which would have been 2020. We all know what happened. It ended up being in 2021. And she was disqualified because she tested positive for marijuana. While I don't condone that by any means, when you're an athlete, you know, you have to watch the substances that you put in your body, whether it's an illegal substance or anything that you have to know what's in everything that you're putting in your body. I mean, it's your responsibility. But the young lady's mother had just passed away, and she made a bad decision. And just got drugged through the mud after that.
This poor girl.
Right. People just ripped her apart. Just even people in her own community talked really bad about her, the way she dressed.
Even the potheads talk bad about her. Like, really. I mean, Michael Phelps reached out to her because honestly, he knows what it's like.
Oh, for sure. For sure. You know, and just really ripped her apart. And not to mention, you know, nobody wants to bring up the healing properties and the good things that marijuana has for athletes, or for anybody that has pain management. So, you know, no, heaven forbid. And then also at this, you know,
pharmaceuticals for the politicians.
Right.
Across the board.
Well, we have to remember it's only been illegal for less than 100 years, but go ahead.
And he's the one who made it that way.
And so, and in most leagues, the most American leagues, they don't test for it anymore, but we're talking on an international level. She knew the rules, she broke them. But I will say, like, I have made plenty of mistakes and plenty of mistakes while dealing with grief, you know, and just trying to cope and try and get through. So to see her go to Budapest to the World Championships, and she broke everybody from 1, 2, 3, and 4 broke the record. So everybody that was 1 through 4 set a record, and she ended up winning. And I know there were so many haters, especially on my Twitter. I hope y'all are watching. I hope y'all see how I post about her. There was people for the last 2 months that every time I would post about Sha'Carri, they would hop on my post and they were like, oh, she's so easy to dislike. No, I completely disagree. And we're going to go ahead and show her World Championship performance real quick.
Women's 100 World Final. The Jamaicans get out well. It's Shericka Jackson, Shelly-Ann Fraser-Price, Talou. Here comes Sha'Carri Richardson. Sha'Carri's done it. Sha'Carri Richardson has won the world title. She had to come from behind in the semi, but when it counted, she has done it. Richardson has stunned the sprinting world and is a world champion. That's a world championship record, a personal best, but short memory, Lee. After a bad semifinal, she recovered and ran the race necessary to up.
And caveat, thank you, NBC Sports Club, Sports Track and Field. I got that clip from you. Thank you for that. Sorry.
And to do it in the outside lane, you know, like just to come through and all that adversity. Way to go, you know. Just
amazing.
The thing that I liked most was they were like this. You're like a linebacker. Running in the sprints is like a linebacker. You have to forget your last play and move on because she did not have a good second heat. So, I thought that was really interesting. And if you didn't get up in your feels when you watched it the first time, you're missing. I need to check your head there for a minute.
Yeah.
Right. And then also Jackson, the one that the Jamaican young lady, Sha'Carri was 9 years old when Sheikah won her first medal. So like, that's how long she's been running too. So the Jamaican ladies and the Jamaican and the United States rivalry, even though, you know, they're kind to each other, it's alive and it's well. And you know, on to the next one. We shall see her at the Paris Games, I'm sure.
Well, and then you know that the men have just secured it was a Walker. Who was the guy that won the men's race? So we secured the fastest male and female in the world.
We swept.
Yeah,
US 100 meters.
Was it the first time like in 40 years or something? I feel like that was a stat that I remember.
Well, just really enjoyed that. Looking forward to their next couple of races because there's still a couple more before they start qualifying for Paris. I don't know if this is an automatic bid to Paris by winning this. I mean, that could be. I can't remember. But we will figure that out. I think that does it for us this week. Thank you guys so much for watching, commenting, and sharing. Obviously, if there's any topics that y'all want to talk about as well, feel free to message us or hit us up in the 3 Chicks in a Pod group. We will be willing to tackle any topic y'all want to talk about.
If you're an expert, we'll bring you on camera. You can talk with us.
Absolutely.
Exactly. Oh, and next week we have Gerald Glassford coming on.
Awesome.
Yay.
So a Lakers expert that will come on. And probably I have lots of Laker friends on Twitter, but I want to say that this is probably the most unbiased, realistic Lakers fan out there in the world. I love all y'all Lakers fans, but Gerald definitely has a way of being very realistic.
Or Del Jason, if you were watching, you know I love you, but it's not because you're a Lakers fan.
Right.
I love you for every other reason but that, babe.
All right, guys, that's going to do it for us this week. Thank you so much for watching.